Hello, this video is moving on to some more stoichiometry problems. Hopefully that you've noticed that you were supposed to print out this worksheet, so if you haven't, you might want to do that, and then you can kind of write it out so that you have this as an example when you're doing your homework. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to focus on the first two problems, mass to mass. First thing, notice that in this equation, right, it's already balanced. So we have two H2O2 and we have two produces, right, or decomposes to two water molecules and an oxygen diatomic atom. So first, make sure that that equation is balanced. Some of yours on your homework will be unbalanced, so you'll need to take that first step. Really what we're going to do is we're going to put together all the steps that we've been doing in Unit 1 and Unit 2 up to now. So the first thing, right, how many grams of water form when 4.2 grams of H2O2 decompose? So we know that we have 4.2 grams of H2O2, and we can convert that into moles like we did in Unit 1. Looking at the examples from Unit 1, right, if we have grams of H2O, we want grams of H2O on the bottom. So 34.0 is the molar mass. Make sure you go to 1 decimal place. So if you see, right, the grams of H2O and the grams of H2O are going to cancel out, and that's going to leave us in moles of H2, there should be a 2 there, of H2O2. And if you did that in your calculator, right, if you did 4.2 divided by 34, you'd get 0.124 moles of water. Well, now that we know the moles of water, we're going to do what we did in the beginning of Unit 2. We're going to do a mole-to-mole conversion. So we don't need to write out that answer separately. We can just kind of keep going with our math. So now, looking at the balanced equation, right, for every 2 moles of H2O2, right, looking at the balanced equation, there's 2 moles of H2O, what we're trying to get to. So again, looking at the units, right, moles of H2O are going to cancel with moles of H2O2. So now we're switching substances here. So now we're going to have how many moles of H2O there are if we stopped there, right? And that would be 0.124 moles of H2O. But we don't want moles of water. We want to keep going. We want how many grams of water. So now we also know that for every mole of water, right, the molar mass of water is 18.0, again, round to 1 decimal place. So looking at units, moles of water cancels out with moles of water. That's leaving us in the units of grams of water, which is what we're looking for. So if you do 4.2 divided by 34 times 2 divided by 2 and then multiplied by 18, it'll get you a number. Remember that your beginning number is 2 significant figures, so your answer needs to be 2 significant figures. Notice in each step, I've written out the substance, H2O2, 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 and then went to H2O. You should get in that habit, especially in the assignments that you turn in to me, because that's what I'm going to be looking for. So that way you're sure that you're converting from one substance to another. So let's go to the next example. Right, we're going to start off with 7.4 grams of water. And we want to know how many grams of O2 form if 7.4 grams of H2O form. Well, if you've got 7.4 grams of water that form, we want to turn that into a mole value. So, right, there's 18.0 grams of water is the molar mass. So grams of water cancel out, and we would now be in moles of water. Right, so if you did 7.4 divided by 18, that gets you 0.41. So right now we know there's 0.41 moles of water that would be produced from this reaction. Now we're going to do our mole to mole ratio. Right, for every 2 moles of water that's produced, only 1 mole of oxygen is going to be produced. And again, we're getting that from the mole ratios in the equation, right? It's understood that there's a 1 there. So now we're in moles of O2, right? So if you took that 0.411 that I was talking about earlier, right, we'd have 0.411 moles of water. If you divided that by 2, you would now have how many moles of O2 there are. Now that you know the number of moles of O2, right, we're going to keep going. Should be a multiply in there. Right, we're going to keep going and figure out how many grams of water are produced. So again, the moles of O2 are canceling out. That's how I'm deciding what side of the fraction it goes on, right? Over here, the molar mass was on the bottom because the grams had to cancel out. Now that I'm in the units of moles, I need moles on the bottom over here and grams on the top because moles are canceling out, leaving me with grams. So our final answer, 6.6 grams of O2 are produced if 7.4 grams of H2O are produced. Again, 2 significant figures because this number here had 2 significant figures. The sig figs are always decided by your starting mass or number of particles or whatever number you're starting with. So hopefully you will go now to the next worksheet and just try to do some mass-to-mass problems and then check your work. If you're doing okay with that, come back to the next video where we'll do particle to particles on this paper and we'll do volume to volume.